Under the broken light of a red alien moon, the battlefield was silent at last. Smoke curled up from shattered machines and burned alien metal. The war between humans and the Valari Empire had lasted for years, but this night, one human warrior walked alone among the ruins, Sergeant Ryan Cross. His armor was cracked, blood dried on his cheek, and his rifle almost empty. Yet his eyes still searched, alert, sharp, trained to survive. He had come to finish a mission, capture the Valari commander alive. Everyone said it was suicide. The Valari were not just aliens. They were taller, faster, stronger, and cruel beyond reason. But Ryan had already lost too much to turn back. As he moved through the smoke, a faint mechanical hum caught his ear. A Valari dropship, half buried in the sand, its wings broken. Inside, a faint pulse of light blinked. Ryan raised his gun and stepped closer. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, he saw her, the Valari queen herself, bound to her chair by broken armor and bleeding silver blood. Her skin shimmered like blue glass under the moonlight. Her long silver hair spilled over her armor, and her glowing violet eyes snapped open the moment he entered. "Human," she hissed, voice cold but trembling. "You dare to walk into your death?" Ryan didn't answer. He aimed the rifle at her chest, his breath steady. "You're coming with me." She laughed, a sound soft but filled with danger. "Capture me? You think your fragile kind can contain a queen?" Ryan took a slow step forward. "Your army's gone. Your ships are burning. You've lost." Her smile faded. For the first time, her proud gaze softened, not in fear, but in exhaustion. "Maybe," she whispered, "but you will not kill me." He hesitated. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, not with hate anymore, but with something strange. A spark of curiosity. A sudden rumble shook the ground. Another explosion. Ryan turned to the window. Valari drones were closing in, the Queen's automated guards, still active. "Your soldiers are coming," he said. "If they find me, I'm dead. But if they find you like this..." She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "You would save me?" Ryan cursed under his breath. Logic screamed no. But he grabbed her wrist anyway, pulling her up. "Move if you want to live." She stumbled, weak but still proud. Together they rushed out through the burning wreckage, the night sky filled with laser fire. Ryan shot down one drone, then another. The Queen tried to walk, but her leg was wounded. Silver blood streaked the sand. Without thinking, Ryan lifted her into his arms. "You human fool!" she cried, claws digging lightly into his armor. "Why would you save me?" "Because I'm not like you," he said simply. "We don't leave people to die." She stared at him for a long moment, eyes wide. Then she looked away. "Perhaps that is why you survive." They reached the edge of the battlefield, hiding in a cave under the cliffs. Ryan set her down gently. She winced as he tore part of his sleeve and tied it around her wound. "You're wasting your time," she said quietly. "My blood is poison to humans." "Then I'll die doing the right thing," he replied. For a long while, only silence filled the cave. The distant thunder of war echoed outside. Finally she spoke, her voice softer than before. "What is your name, human?" "Ryan," he said. "Sergeant Ryan Cross." She repeated it slowly, as if testing the sound. "Ryan." Then, after a pause, "I am Queen Seraphine of Vala." Ryan gave a tired smile. "Well, Seraphine, looks like we're both prisoners now." Her lips curved into a faint smirk. "Perhaps. But one of us holds the key." Her eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, reflecting the firelight. There was something different in them now, not hatred, not pride, but an emotion she had never felt before. Outside, the sky thundered as ships clashed again, but deep inside that cave, something else had begun, something far more dangerous than war itself. For the first time in her long reign, the alien queen felt her heart tremble for a human. And for the first time, the soldier who came to capture her didn't want to let her go. The cave was cold and damp, lit only by the faint glow of Seraphine's armor and the flickering fire Ryan had built. Outside, the wind howled like ghosts over the ruined valley. The two of them, a human soldier and an alien queen, sat opposite each other, silent but watchful. Ryan kept his rifle close. Seraphine watched him with those violet eyes that seemed to see right through him. Her wound had stopped bleeding, but she was still weak. Even so, she carried herself with the same royal pride, her back straight, her expression calm. "You don't trust me," she said finally. "I'd be an idiot if I did," Ryan replied, poking the fire with a stick. "You've probably killed 100 humans yourself." "Thousands," she corrected softly. He froze. She said it not with pride, but with something like guilt. "Then why are you helping me?" she asked. Ryan didn't answer for a moment. The firelight danced over his tired face. "Because I got tired of watching people die. Yours, mine, doesn't matter anymore. It's all the same." Her eyes softened. Strange words from a soldier. "Maybe I'm not the same soldier I used to be." She looked away, her expression unreadable. A long silence followed, broken only by the crackle of fire and the distant sound of explosions. Then Ryan heard it, faint footsteps outside the cave. Instinct kicked in. He grabbed his rifle, motioning for her to stay quiet. He moved to the mouth of the cave and peered out. 3 Valari scouts, searching through the debris. "They're yours," he whispered. "If they see us, they'll call reinforcements." Seraphine slowly stood. "Then let me deal with them." Ryan stared. "You can barely walk." Her lips curved slightly. "I am still their queen." Before he could stop her, she stepped out into the moonlight. Her armor shimmered faintly, her posture straight despite her injury. The Valari scouts froze the moment they saw her, their mandibles clicking in shock. "Your Majesty," one hissed. "Silence," she ordered, her voice echoing through the canyon. "You will forget this meeting. You will return to the command ship and tell them the Queen died in battle." The soldiers hesitated. "But..." Her eyes glowed like fire. "That is an order." They lowered their heads and backed away, terrified. Within seconds, they disappeared into the night. When she turned back to Ryan, her face had gone pale. She stumbled slightly, and Ryan caught her before she hit the ground. "You're crazy," he muttered. "You could have been killed." Her breathing was shaky. "I had to protect you. If they reported this, you would die." Ryan looked at her. Truly looked. An alien queen who had just lied to her own army to save him. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why would you do that for a human?" She met his gaze, her voice barely a whisper. "Because you did it for me first." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Their faces were close, the glow of her armor painting their skin in blue and red light. Ryan felt something stir deep inside him, something he didn't expect, didn't want, but couldn't deny. Finally, Seraphine looked away. "We cannot stay here. My people will find this place soon." "Then where?" "There is a human outpost, north of here. You can reach it by dawn." Ryan frowned. "And you?" "I will not survive your people's prison." "Then you're coming with me," he said firmly. "We'll figure something out." She smiled faintly, a sad, knowing smile. "You're a strange man, Ryan Cross." "Yeah," he said, helping her up. "I get that a lot." They began their journey through the ruins, walking side by side under the alien stars. The night was long, and danger waited in every shadow. But for the first time, both human and queen felt something neither had expected, a fragile bond stronger than war. As they walked, Seraphine whispered to herself, almost too soft for him to hear, "Perhaps, peace begins with 2 hearts, not armies." Ryan glanced at her, but said nothing. The faintest smile crossed his face as they disappeared into the dark horizon, hunted by both sides, but together at last. The first light of dawn touched the red horizon as Ryan and Seraphine crossed the dead valley. The ground was cracked and dry, filled with burnt metal and the wreckage of two worlds. Every few steps, Ryan glanced behind them, scanning for movement. "We're close," he said, his voice low. "The human outpost should be over that ridge." Seraphine nodded weakly, her breathing shallow. Her strength was fading, and every step looked harder than the last. Still, she didn't complain. There was pride in her even when she could barely stand. Ryan stopped and offered his hand. "You need to rest." "I do not rest," she said stubbornly. He smiled faintly. "You're not much different from my old commander." "Then your commander must have been wise," she replied with a tired smirk. But before Ryan could answer, a distant hum rolled through the sky, the sound of engines. He looked up sharply. A small human dropship flew low, scanning the surface. Seraphine froze. "Your people," Ryan cursed. "If they see you, they'll shoot on sight." "Then you must leave me," she said quickly. "Go to them. Tell them you completed your mission. Say I am dead." He turned to her, eyes hard. "Not happening." "Ryan," she said softly, "if they capture me, they will not show mercy to either of us." He clenched his jaw, torn between duty and something far deeper. "I don't leave people behind. I already told you that." The dropship landed nearby with a cloud of dust. Ryan raised his weapon, signaling a ceasefire. Human soldiers jumped out, their armor shining in the morning light. "Sergeant Ryan Cross," one called. "Command thought you were dead." Ryan lowered his gun slightly. "Almost was. Mission complete." The soldier stepped forward, eyeing the tall, blue-skinned figure behind him. "Who's that?" Ryan hesitated. "She's a prisoner. The Queen." Every man froze. Weapons came up instantly. "Drop your weapon, Sergeant." Ryan tensed. "She's injured. She's no threat." "That's the Valari Queen," the officer barked. "She's responsible for 1,000,000 dead. Step away from her now." Seraphine stood tall despite her weakness. "He saved me," she said clearly. "If you must kill someone, kill me, not him." But that only made things worse. "Contain them both," the officer shouted. "He's compromised." Ryan's blood went cold. The soldiers advanced. He lifted his weapon, not to kill, but to protect. "Don't do this," he warned. "We can end this war." "She's willing to talk." "Talk?" The officer spat. "With that." Seraphine's eyes darted between them, her breath trembling. "Ryan," she whispered, "don't fight them." But he didn't listen. He stepped in front of her, his voice breaking. "If you shoot her, you'll have to shoot me too." The officer raised his pistol. "Then so be it." The world slowed. Ryan's heart pounded as he saw the trigger move. Before the shot could fire, a bright pulse of energy exploded from Seraphine's body. Instinctive, raw power. The blast threw everyone back, dust and light blinding the air. When Ryan opened his eyes, the soldiers were unconscious, their armor cracked. Seraphine stood in the center of the blast radius, shaking, her eyes dimming. "Seraphine!" he shouted, catching her as she fell. "I didn't mean to," she whispered weakly. "I just wanted to protect you." "Don't talk," he said, holding her close. "You're okay. You'll be fine." She looked up at him, her face pale and beautiful even in pain. "Your people will call you a traitor now." Ryan looked around, at the wrecked soldiers, the burning ship, the chaos. "Then I guess I already am." Her hand brushed his cheek. "Then you are free." He helped her stand. They looked toward the northern mountains, empty, untouched land. "Where will we go?" she asked. "Somewhere they'll never find us," he said. "Somewhere new." As they walked away from the battlefield, the rising sun burned through the dust clouds, painting the sky gold and crimson. Behind them, the war still raged, but neither of them looked back. For the first time, the Queen of Vala and the last soldier of Earth weren't enemies. They were fugitives, bound by the one thing both sides had forgotten how to understand. Mercy. Night fell again, and the desert turned cold beneath the twin moons. Ryan and Seraphine moved through the dark hills, away from the battlefield and everything they had ever known. Behind them lay the wreckage of two armies. Ahead, only silence. They found shelter in the ruins of an old outpost, half buried under sand. The walls were cracked, the ceiling open to the stars. Ryan built a small fire, its warm glow reflecting off the silver plates of Seraphine's damaged armor. She sat quietly beside the flames, her long hair falling loose over her shoulders. Her violet eyes seemed softer now, less like a queen's and more like a woman who had seen too much death. Ryan handed her a canteen. You should drink. You've lost too much fluid. She accepted it slowly, her fingers brushing his cool against his warm skin. You risk your life for me again, Ryan. Every step you take beside me, your people will call you a traitor. He looked into the fire. Maybe they already have. But you're not my enemy anymore. She studied him, her voice quiet. Then what am I? Ryan didn't answer right away. The fire popped softly between them. Finally, he said, someone worth saving. For a moment, Seraphine's proud mask broke. She looked away, hiding something in her expression, something she didn't understand yet. Hours passed. The wind howled outside. They spoke little, but the silence between them wasn't cold anymore. Then Seraphine lifted her head sharply. Someone's coming. Ryan froze, listening. A faint sound echoed through the canyon, metal footsteps, slow and deliberate. He grabbed his rifle, moving to the shadows. Through the cracked wall, he saw red lights glowing in the dark. Not human, not Valari soldiers either. Drones, he whispered. Search units. Seraphine's eyes glowed faintly. Not mine. These are hunters from the outer colonies, mercenaries. They kill anything with a pulse. Ryan cursed under his breath. We can't stay here. But before they could move, a drone scanned the area. Its red light swept across the ruins, and stopped on them. Ryan opened fire. The blast hit the drone's sensor, and it screamed before exploding in a flash of sparks. More red eyes appeared in the dark, dozens of them, moving fast. Run! He shouted. They sprinted through the ruins, the ground exploding behind them. Metal claws tore through walls. One drone lunged at Seraphine, but Ryan shoved her aside, firing point blank. Sparks flew. Keep moving, he yelled. They reached the cliffs at the edge of the valley, a dead end. The drop below was steep, hundreds of feet down. We're trapped, Seraphine said, her voice steady despite the danger. Ryan looked around desperately. There's gotta be a way out. Ryan! She cried. He turned. A massive drone leaped from the shadows, its claws slamming into his chest plate. Ryan fell back, his gun skidding across the sand. The machine raised its blade arm, and then stopped, frozen in mid-air. Seraphine stood behind it, her hands glowing with white energy. Her eyes burned like fire. The drone began to shake, its metal skin cracking, then it exploded into shards. Ryan stared, breathing hard. You did that. Her voice was trembling. It takes power. I cannot do it often. Then let's make it count, he said, grabbing her hand. We jump. She blinked. What? Trust me. And before she could argue, he pulled her off the edge. They fell through the darkness, wind screaming in their ears. Ryan wrapped his arms around her, shielding her as they hit the lower slope. They rolled through the sand, bruised but alive. Above them, the drones searched the cliffs, unable to track them in the maze of canyons. When they finally stopped, Ryan lay on his back, staring at the stars. Seraphine leaned against him, her breathing heavy. You're insane, she whispered. He laughed weakly. You're not the first to say that. For the first time, she smiled, a real smile. Small, but real. You saved me again. Maybe you're the one saving me now, he said softly. Their eyes met. The air between them was quiet, electric. For a heartbeat, they forgot the war, the danger, the past. There was only the sound of wind and the rhythm of two hearts that shouldn't have been together, but were. Seraphine looked away first, whispering, "If we survive this, the universe will never understand us." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then we'll make our own universe." And as the night stretched on, hunted by enemies and bound by fate, the human warrior and the alien queen rested side by side, not as enemies, not as prisoners, but as two souls beginning to trust, beginning to care. The next day came quietly, the sun rising like fire over the canyon. Ryan and Seraphine moved slowly through the dust and stone, following the faint trail of broken metal that led deeper underground. The air grew cooler, and the shadows thicker. After hours of walking, they reached a hidden valley surrounded by jagged cliffs. At the far end stood something buried under centuries of sand, a massive alien structure, silent and forgotten. The metal shimmered faintly with ancient light. Seraphine stopped, her eyes widening. "This place, it's Valari." Ryan looked at her. "One of your bases?" She nodded slowly. "Older than the war. Older than me. We called them vaults of the first ones, built by my ancestors before our empire rose." Ryan whistled softly. "Looks abandoned. Maybe we can hide here." They approached the main gate, half-collapsed and covered in vines. When Seraphine placed her palm on the surface, symbols glowed beneath her hand, ancient and beautiful, written in light. The gate opened with a low hum, releasing air that hadn't touched the outside world in ages. Inside, the corridors were vast and quiet. Blue lights flickered on, sensing Seraphine's presence. Ryan looked around, amazed. "It's like stepping into another world." "It is," she said softly. "This was once a sanctuary for my kind. A place of peace, before war consumed us." They set up camp in what looked like an old command hall. Broken statues lined the walls, Valari kings and queens long forgotten. Ryan gathered supplies from old crates while Seraphine walked slowly among the ruins, touching the carvings as if remembering something lost. "You've been here before," Ryan said, watching her. She shook her head. "No. But I can feel them. My ancestors. My blood remembers." Ryan sat down beside her. "You miss your people." "I miss what we were supposed to be," she replied quietly. "We were meant to guide, not conquer. I tried to change that, and it made me a target." He frowned. "Target? By who?" She turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "The council. The generals who started the war. They feared peace more than death. When I spoke against them, they tried to remove me." "So your own people betrayed you," Ryan said slowly. Her voice trembled. "Yes. The war you fought was never my war." The words hung in the air like a blade. Ryan looked at her, not as an alien now, but as someone broken by the same cruelty that destroyed his own world. He reached out carefully, touching her hand. "Then we both fought for the wrong reasons." For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Seraphine's fingers closed around his. Her skin was cool and smooth, her expression unreadable, but her eyes told the truth. "I never thought a human could understand me," she whispered. "Maybe we're not that different," he said. "We just bleed in different colors." She almost smiled, but the sound of distant movement cut through the stillness. They both turned sharply. Ryan raised his gun. "You hear that?" "Yes," she said, her eyes glowing brighter. "Something else lives here." They moved through the dark corridor, weapons ready. The light flickered overhead. Then they saw it, a large containment chamber filled with strange energy. Inside floated a humanoid figure made of pure light, shifting and pulsing. Seraphine stepped closer, her face pale. "It's one of the first ones, preserved for centuries." Ryan frowned. "Alive." "Barely. But conscious." The figure suddenly spoke, its voice echoing inside their minds. "Blood of Vala, and blood of man. Your paths were never meant to cross." Seraphine fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the voice. Ryan caught her, holding her steady. "What's it saying?" he demanded. Her voice shook. "It says, the war between our species was planned. Manipulated. Both sides were being controlled." "By who?" "The first ones," she whispered, her eyes wide with shock. "They created both humans and Valari, as weapons." Ryan's grip tightened on her shoulders. "You're saying we were made to destroy each other?" She nodded weakly. "We were never enemies by choice." The light began to fade, the ancient voice whispering one last message. "End the cycle, or it will end you both." The chamber went dark. Only the sound of their breathing filled the silence. Ryan turned to Seraphine. "We have to tell someone." She shook her head slowly. "If we tell them, they'll kill us both. Neither side will believe the truth. Then what do we do?" She looked up at him, her voice trembling but fierce. "We find proof. And we show the galaxy that this war is a lie." Ryan nodded. "Together." Her eyes met his, and for the first time, there was no wall between them. Only trust. Only something dangerous and beautiful growing in the middle of all the chaos. As they stood in the glow of the dying light, the human soldier and the alien queen became something new. Not enemies, not fugitives, but partners bound by a truth that could change everything. The vault trembled as ancient power stirred beneath its walls. Dust fell from the ceiling, and distant echoes rumbled through the corridors like thunder. Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle while Seraphine's eyes glowed faintly, reacting to something deep within the structure. "The vault is waking," she said quietly. "The first ones built more than just memories here." Ryan frowned. "What kind of more are we talking about?" "Something that can end everything," she replied. They followed the sound through a long metallic passage until they reached a massive chamber lined with strange machines, half organic, half mechanical. At its center stood a towering pillar of light, pulsing with energy. Seraphine stepped closer. "This is the core. My ancestors called it the heart of origin. It can reshape DNA, rewrite species. It's the power they use to create us." Ryan stared, stunned. "You mean this thing can make life? Or destroy it?" she said softly. "If someone activates it, it could erase entire civilizations, start evolution over again." Before he could respond, a sharp electronic voice echoed behind them. "Step away from the core, Sergeant." Ryan spun around, his heart froze. A squad of human soldiers filled the doorway, their guns trained on him. Leading them was Commander Hale, his former superior officer, a man he once trusted more than anyone. "Hale," Ryan said, disbelief in his voice. "How did you—" "Satellite tracking," Hale interrupted coldly. "We followed your signal after you vanished. Imagine my surprise when I found you hiding with her." Seraphine's eyes narrowed. "You should not be here, human." "Neither should you, alien," Hale spat. "But you made this easy for us. You led us straight to the artifact." Ryan stepped between them. "Hale, listen to me. That thing isn't what you think. It's dangerous." "Oh, I know," Hale said with a cruel smile. "Command wants to use it. A weapon that can rewrite biology? Imagine erasing every Valari from existence. Clean. Permanent." Seraphine's expression turned to ice. "You would play God?" Hale laughed. "We've been gods since the first shot of this war." Ryan's blood boiled. "You're wrong, Hale. The war's built on lies. Both sides were manipulated. This machine—" "I don't care about your alien fairy tales, Sergeant," Hale snapped. "You betrayed your kind. You're done." He raised his pistol, aimed straight at Seraphine. Ryan didn't think. He moved. A single shot rang out. The bullet hit him in the shoulder, spinning him back. Seraphine screamed, her hands glowing with light. Energy erupted from her body like a storm. The air shook. The human soldiers were thrown against the walls, their weapons melting under the pressure. When the light faded, the chamber was silent except for Ryan's ragged breathing. Hale lay unconscious. Ryan stumbled forward, clutching his wound. "Ryan!" Seraphine caught him before he fell. "You're bleeding." "I'm fine," he lied through his teeth. "You okay?" She stared at him, her eyes wide and shimmering with emotion. "You took a bullet for me. Again." He gave a weak grin. "Guess I'm getting used to it." Her expression broke. For the first time, the proud queen's eyes filled with tears, faint, glowing tears that rolled down her blue skin. "Why?" she whispered. "Why keep risking your life for someone who's not even human?" Ryan lifted a trembling hand and touched her face. "Because you are more human than anyone I've ever known." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The world around them was broken, the air still humming with power, but all Ryan saw was her eyes, her warmth, her fear. Seraphine leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "You should not care for me." "Too late," he whispered. Her forehead rested gently against his. The glow from the core painted them in gold and violet light. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it carried the weight of everything they'd fought for. Then alarms blared. The vault began to shake violently. The core pulsed brighter, wild and unstable. Seraphine pulled back instantly. "It's activating. The power's leaking. If it overloads, it'll destroy this planet." Ryan gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand. "Then we shut it down, together." They turned toward the pulsing machine, side by side, one human, one alien, united not by blood or duty, but by choice. Behind them, Commander Hale stirred, watching through half-closed eyes, hatred burning deep within him. He whispered into his comm link. "Command, they found the core. Prepare extraction. They won't get out alive." And as the walls began to crack and the ancient light grew stronger, Ryan and Seraphine faced the storm, unaware that the greatest betrayal was still to come. The vault shook violently, dust and debris falling from the ceiling as the core's pulsing energy reached a crescendo. Ryan and Seraphine stood together, their hands clasped tightly, the light from the machine illuminating their determined faces. The air smelled of ozone and burning metal. "We don't have much time," Seraphine shouted over the roaring energy. "If the core overloads, it will annihilate the planet." Ryan gritted his teeth. "Then we shut it down, now." They ran toward the control console, a maze of alien symbols and levers. Seraphine's hands glowed as she interfaced with the ancient technology. Ryan covered her, fending off shards of falling debris. The core throbbed violently, reacting to her presence, almost alive. Suddenly, Hale stumbled through the dust, bloodied but furious, aiming a plasma rifle at them. "You think you can play hero, Ryan?" he yelled. "The core belongs to humanity. Step aside." Ryan aimed his rifle, but he knew he couldn't kill Hale, not without losing himself in the hatred. "Seraphine," he whispered. "Finish it." She nodded, her fingers dancing over the controls, energy spiraling around her. The core began to slow, its pulses weakening. Hale fired, but Ryan dove in front of Seraphine, taking the blast into his side. Pain seared through him, but he stayed on his feet. "Ryan!" Seraphine screamed, eyes blazing violet. Her hands shot forward, releasing a wave of light so powerful it threw Hale across the chamber and slammed the walls. He groaned, unconscious. Ryan collapsed to his knees, clutching his wound. Seraphine fell beside him, her armor cracked, her body trembling. She reached for him. "You can't leave me now," she whispered. "I'm not leaving," he said, gasping. "Never again." Together, they activated the final sequence. The core shuddered, its energy contained, the dangerous pulse fading into a calm hum. The vault's structure stabilized, the threat neutralized. They collapsed against each other, exhausted but alive. For the first time, silence filled the chamber. No alarms, no explosions, just the quiet hum of a machine no longer a weapon, and two hearts beating side by side. Seraphine looked into Ryan's eyes. "We could have died, so many times." He smiled faintly, wincing from the pain. Yeah. But we didn't. And we survived. Together. She reached up, touching his cheek gently. You risked everything for me. Ryan's hand covered hers. Because you were worth it. Every time. For a long moment, they simply held each other, the weight of war and betrayal falling away. Outside, the galaxy was still broken, but inside that vault, two unlikely souls had found something stronger than survival: trust, understanding, and love. Seraphine smiled faintly, resting her head against his shoulder. Then, what now? Ryan looked toward the horizon, where the sun's light reflected off the vault's outer walls. Now, we live. Together. And we make a future that neither humans nor Valari thought possible. She nodded, her violet eyes shining. A future we build ourselves. They rose slowly, supporting each other as they stepped into the light of a new day. Behind them, the vault's ancient secret slept once more, its power dormant. Ahead, the galaxy awaited, dangerous, uncertain, but theirs to face. And this time, they would face it side by side. As they disappeared into the desert, their hands intertwined, it was no longer about human or alien, war or peace. It was about the bond forged in fire, the love born from chaos, and the promise that even in the darkest times, hope could bloom in the hearts of the bravest.